a doubt for this race, but Joey Greenan alongside him, an Irishman who could cover himself in glory and indeed could do possibly a very unique thing, and that is beat this brilliant Brazilian. 74, there's Calvin Fish, again a Van Diemen, which are dominating this race. And behind him, number 25, that's Jesper Willemsen, who led the championship. He comes from Holland, and he led the championship earlier on in the year. There they go, number 26, the other car, Chris Nissen, then a very good driver indeed. So the Europeans are well to the fore. Down they come, Greenan on the outside, De Silva on the inside, and number 74, Calvin Fish, figuring very well. It's all clean. PJ Fallon well in there also.
PJ made a very good start, so I thought there was a bit of bustling and boring in that first corner. So after we go into the back straight to BOAC corner down to Duckham's, all spreading out to a dive into that Duckham's corner.
And Joey Greenan has taken the lead. Joey Greenan leads De Silva. In third place, I think it's Fish at the moment. We'll have to confirm that, but Pat Duffy is also well in there in the Beat-sponsored car.
An absolutely magnificent piece of driving by Joey to get the lead in this situation, because to beat De Silva, the only one way is to lead from the front. Keep De Silva behind you, because he was so quick in practice. Joey's got to use all his racecraft, which he's used over the weekend by winning 2 races already, to keep De Silva behind him.
So it's Greenan, De Silva, Nissen, but there's Willemsen coming up, and Pat Duffy well in there also. So it's Nissen, we reckon, in third place, and then Fish in fourth place, and somebody right out on the grass there. It looked like Tim Davis, who won one of the heats, but De Silva making a bid for the outside. Round the outside of Shell, he doesn't do it. Still it's Greenan. Greenan driving the race of his life at the moment, trying to fend off this Brazilian.
Joey, every time he gets into a race car, he drives as if his very life depends on it. I saw him looking from left to right there in his mirror, very calm, relaxed at the moment. But Joey, a very excitable driver at the best of times. But over this weekend, he's been simply dominating form. Now, De Silva seems to be in a bit of trouble. He's been chased by third place man Calvin Fish at the moment.
In fact, we think it's Nissen. Nissen in third place, number 26 is showing there, and De Silva certainly not dominating at this stage, gets very sideways, very ragged, quite extraordinary. Joey Greenan leading, De Silva, Nissen in third place, then Fish, then Willemsen, then Duffy, and then PJ Fallon.
What a magnificent race this is turning out to be. Cars literally all looking for the 1 square inch of track that there isn't available. As they're down by the 4th straight, down into Shell. Some beautiful racing this, into the Shell corner. Joey taking the inside line, but he's giving a little bit of room, a little too much room. In fact, there was a slight mistake there, because he could have been going to easily being punted off by De Silva. But a 20-lap race, there's plenty of laps yet left to go.
Well, De Silva nearly had him. This time he's trying again. He's going to try and go around the outside, but there ain't much room there, but he's done it. That was sensational. That's why he is so good.
A magnificent move by De Silva. Again, as we saw that happen earlier today in the saloon car race, but a magnificent maneuver by De Silva. I only think that Joey might have made a mistake for that to happen.
So Joey Greenan now down into second place, and he mustn't hold up these others too much, or De Silva's going to walk away into the distance, but that was a fabulous overtaking maneuver, and a very hairy, dangerous place to do it. Nissen's now trying to crawl past Greenan. That's Willemsen, number 25, but De Silva right out on the grass, and look at the advantage he's getting here. Greenan in second, surely Nissen will try. Calvin Fish, 74, then Willemsen. We see PJ Fallon in picture, but it's Ayrton De Silva, who, as expected, dominates this one at the moment. Then Greenan leading this amazing traffic jam.
And Ayrton already opened up about a 1 second gap, the 21-year-old Brazilian from Sao Paulo, Nelson Piquet country. So now I think the race, we've got to be quite realistic, looks as if it's going to be for second place, and what a race that is.
Chris Nissen then, Calvin Fish, the third of those 2 cars. Then we have Willemsen, Jesper Willemsen, but De Silva romping away, and look at that man's car control. It's absolutely beautiful. It is well known that Mondello is not an easy place to learn. But this is an outstanding performance by Joey Greenan. The Van Diemen RF82 dominating this particular race in practice, and the homegrown Crosley's really not matching up to the English-built car. Those are all Van Diemens that you see in picture, and in fact it's Van Diemen's in the first probably 7 or 8 places at the moment.
Yes, I think that's correct, and PJ Fallon putting in a terrific drive. He's pulled himself up onto the back of this group, so with a bit of luck and with a few more laps we might see PJ in the thick of things.
So we're still watching the stars for second place, still the same order. Chris Nissen there, in third under tremendous pressure from Kelvin Fish. And then Pat Duffy really beginning to pressure, and somebody's lost their nose cone. That's one of the foreign visitors. There's Pat Duffy on the outside, challenging now for Kelvin Fish. Tremendous drive by the Irish nationwide Formula 4 champion last year, but that is Joey Greenan in second place, proudly displaying the shamrock on the front of the car.
Now, Pat Duffy is a dark horse in this race. He's putting a lot of pressure on these European drivers. It'll be interesting to see how he fares. He's a good 13 more laps to go.
An immense amount of chopping and changing. I think we wondered, did Kelvin Fish miss a place there? In fact, Pat Duffy is his upper place. Pat Duffy, number 33, is up ahead of Kelvin Fish, and that's some going. Fish fighting back on the outside, number 74, Pat Duffy on the inside. So another tremendous performance by an Irishman, up into fourth place in our reckoning at the moment.
Now this is the dice now. Pat Duffy there just pulling away. If he can cool head and just concentrate on the car ahead of him, I think the way he's driving, he'll be able to pull up another position.
Duffy was the man that gave Joey Greenan all the opposition in the Irish race yesterday, and he really certainly he's in very distinguished company here. And look at Joey Greenan's mastery. We were inclined to forget sometimes that Ayrton De Silva was way out in the lead of this one, but Joey Greenan matching and beating some of the best in Europe there. 26 Chris Nissen still in third place, fourth place now Pat Duffy, and that's them coming streaming down the hill now. Then we have Kelvin Fish and Williamson going rather disappointingly here this afternoon.
Yes, one possibly expected a little more from, but then Mondello really sorts the men out from the boys. Maybe he had some problems, I don't know. But at the moment, the Irish lads, Pat Duffy, PJ Fallon, and of course Joey Greenan are putting in some terrific performances.
There he is, that man De Silva, who was led for the first couple of laps by Joey Greenan, and to the much delight, and having to go past now some of the back markers. No problem there. That looks like Tenkati, another one of the foreigners. He's from Holland, 25-year-old driver in a Delta, and the Deltas really just haven't figured here this weekend. You have to have a Van Diemen to do well at Mondello this weekend.
A very tight and very difficult track, Mondello, so a special car is required, and Van Diemen seems to be that car. All the first 5-6 cars are all Van Diemens. Ralph Furman here this weekend from Van Diemen.
There's Joey Greenan. There's Nissen, there's Duffy, there's Kelvin Fish, not showing that well, there's Williamson, and there's PJ Fallon.
Now with Pat Duffy chasing Nissen, and they're pulling him just a slight bit on Joey Greenan. Joey Greenan had pulled out a little more down. Now that gap is closing down. At one stage it was up to 1.5 seconds. It's now closing a little. So with Pat Duffy's pressure, Nissen is be able to get into gear a little better, and he's closing up on Joey Greenan.
So Nissen, but he can't, he's having problems because he's got to guard his rear as well as try and catch Joey Greenan. That constant pressure from Pat Duffy. And a tremendous performance by both Greenan and Duffy. And once again, Duffy closes down there at Duckham. Seems to be no problem to him.
Yeah, Pat had some problems with that corner in yesterday's race for the Irish Championship, but now he seems to have it fully sorted out, and he's getting in that corner exceptionally well. And Joey running up on the dirt on the inside, throwing stones, gravel, and everything else he can at drivers behind. That's a very deliberate maneuver by Joey, and it works wonders as well when you throw stones back at the drivers behind you.
Well, with 12 laps completed, De Silva way out in the lead, but this is the entertaining dice for second place. Joey Greenan there, number 20, just ahead of 26, who's Chris Nissen. And then right on his tail, we have Pat Duffy. Second, Greenan in the Hales Freight Van Diemen. And there's the leader. And what a drive. This man is amazing because it's a very closely, very tightly restricted form of racing. You're only allowed to use a certain specification engine. The tires are all the same, and really everything being equal, it's quite outstanding that somebody should dominate it like this.
Already he's following in Tommy Byrne's footsteps, and in fact both of them, Tommy Byrne drove this particular category in this particular car last year, the Van Diemen car, and he made it from that step more or less within the space of a year into Formula 1. I was talking to his manager earlier on today, Dennis Ruston, who's looking after De Silva here, and he said already that he's talking to Formula 1 teams. Formula 1 teams are interested, very interested in him. Anyone that can show such dominance has got to be a very, very talented pilot indeed.
And we saw a quick flash of just how far ahead ahead he was there, because second place man Joey Greenan was just coming up the Bardolph straight into Dunlop as De Silva was peeling off another lap. There's Greenan. There's this very entertaining dice between Chris Nissen and Pat Duffy, being watched rather closely by Jesper Willemsen, who started the season extremely well and then fell back a bit. Once, of course, De Silva and indeed Calvin Fish got going, there wasn't anybody else that could touch them.
Pat Duffy must be feeling very frustrated at the moment. Every attempt he makes to go by, Nissen just seems to be just that car length ahead to make it impossible. But Pat driving a very, very controlled race here.
So Duffy desperately trying to get up into third place. 74, Calvin Fish just going through picture there. There's Willemsen, 25. PJ Fallon holding on very well to him indeed. Another back marker, Tenkati, I think, in the way again. And we just hope that he's going to be very watchful for the waving blue flag from the marshals, which will tell him to get out of the way of this dice, because Joey Green is just about to catch him now. They should be able to take him on the forward straight.
Yeah, this back marker, car number 3, Henry Wallenberg, driving a Delta, a car that isn't at all suited to Mondello power. It doesn't put the power down well out of slow corners, which to a great degree Mondello is.
That is Wallenberg is going through there. Henny Wallenberg, the veteran Dutch driver, 41 off, and that is one of the top Irishmen, Jay Pollock. Jay Pollock in the ditch there, in the Crosley 51F that really hasn't shaped up to the Diemen opposition this weekend.
Now, an interesting situation just has just arisen. The back markers holding up third and fourth places. Let's see how they manage to get around this. And I think they've got around the problem okay.
Well, they're all through. They're all through this time. Didn't really make that much difference, but it looked a bit awkward as they went into Dunlop there. But it's still Joey Green and Chris Nissen, Pat Duffy, a little bit further back maybe because of that back marker, and 74, Calvin Fish. Calvin Fish, who has already secured second place in the Euro Series this year with 5 second places in a row, but he doesn't look like he's going to make it 6th this weekend.
No, he's caught back in that position. He's not been able to make any ground. In fact, he gained greatly from the back marker who held up Nissen and Duffy. Calvin, an ex-carter and a very, very fine pilot. At the moment, though, caught back in 5th position.
Ayrton De Silva then on his merry way as he has been all season, and he's had a pretty busy couple of weeks because he flew in from Italy to take part in this race where he'd been testing one of the works kart concerns, so he still does kart racing despite the fact now that he's in his second season of the more conventional racing cars. There's Joey Greenan now in second place. He's pulling away a bit undoubtedly from Chris Nissen, and Pat Duffy just cannot find that gap past the Dane.
And into third and fourth places. Still, the situation is very much status quo. No changes, but everybody, you can be assured, are driving their heart out. And an uncustomary mistake from Jay Pollock that we saw there earlier in the bank. I fear maybe something might have broken, or maybe had a tap with another car, because this isn't like Jay at all. Jay rarely ever makes a mistake.
And we wonder, will Pat Duffy try and make a last charge? He was very late on the brakes there, came in very deep into Castrol there. Joey Greenan, meanwhile, going through Bardolph, still the same order. Calvin Fish, the last of those car in picture. Second, third, fourth, and 5th places. And behind them we have Willemsen in 6th, and PJ Fallon in 7th.
In fact, I've just heard about that accident with Jay Pollock. In fact, himself and Tim Davies came together, and that in some way explains Jay Pollock's accident.
Joey Greenan then with 2 laps to go, and a tremendous drive from Joey. He's had a fantastic weekend. He won the Irish Formula Ford Super Ford Betson Hedges round. He won the 1600, and here he is lying second to Ayrton De Silva. That is absolutely no disgrace. There he goes, Ayrton De Silva in the distinctive yellow and black colors of Brazil, his home country. Down he comes, and it looks almost certain now that he's going to put yet another cup on his sideboard. Second place man Joey Greenan, third Chris Nissen, that's Calvin Fish in 5th place. And our race leader De Silva had only 21 years of age, must have an enormous future.
He does indeed, and quite an indication of his talent is how smooth he looks. At that time, slightly ragged, but he doesn't seem flustered. The car isn't running off onto the dirt. It's a fair indication that this pilot has a lot of talent.
He's won at Donington, he's won at Zandvoort, he's won at Hockenheim, and he's won at Zeltereg in Belgium and Jelender's Ring. And it's going to win also here at Mondello, almost certainly. Out over the curbs, maybe a little bit unnecessary because he's still trying. Down he comes, out of Dunlop, and that's the fist of the air and the checkered flag once again for Aitone de Silva. What a magnificent driver. But look at this guy's second place looks like Joey Greenan, but third is far from decided.
No, indeed, they're neck and neck through Dunlop Corner, but I think that's going to be the order the way they ran in the race. No changes, nobody made a mistake, so the order is, as we read out, De Silva first, Greenan second, Nissen third, Duffy fourth, and Fish fifth.
So Joey Greenan can be justly proud. There's De Silva, a face that we're going to know extremely well in the future, and I would be almost certain that a face that we're going to see in Grand Prix racing before very long. Earlier on this morning, the GT race, an interesting little postscript to that. Evidently, Frank Custom Design Cars have always won their debut motor race, so an amazing achievement, and he's managed to keep it going. We're now looking at the runners for the Wyndham's production saloon car race for cars up to 3,600 cc's. In other words, the big bangers, the big saloons here at Mondello. A fabulous field of motor cars, and of course our fellow commentator during the weekend, Brian Chute, out in this particular race, which will give us here in the box an added personal interest in the whole thing. It's mainly Capri's, but cheekily on the front row of the grid and in pole position is going to be John Smith from Ballymena, number 77. There he is in his Opel Kadett, a 2-litre GTE Opel Kadett, who, after they re-examined the times, was re-allotted onto pole position for the George Wyndham sponsored race. George Wyndham, incidentally, a competitor in saloon car races for possibly up to 20 years in Ireland, and now putting a little bit back into the sport that he's enjoyed so much. Alongside him will be Brian Chute, 2 warm-up laps, incidentally. Brian Chute in the BASF Capri. There it is, just coming into picture now. And he's had a very good season. He's had a number of wins, particularly good run at Phoenix Park a fortnight ago. And also on the front row of the grid, number 44, Eddie Regan in his RS 2000. So there, and somebody off on the inside of Duckham's on the warm-up lap. That's a bit unusual, really. And it's Paul Bishop with him, number 2 from Dublin in his Ford Capri. So Paul Bishop, very surprisingly, getting into a bit of trouble there on the inside of Duckham's on the warm-up laps, and he'd be a bit frustrated with that, I would imagine, David Kennedy.
Rather surprising, probably warming up the tyres, maybe had a blowout or something. But a rather strange grid layout in this respect, because the first 10 cars are qualified inside the lap record. I don't think I've ever remembered an occasion with so many cars inside the lap record, from John Smith all the way down to full sparks. And I think we will see some sparks flying here. So that front row of the grid again consists of, as the car you see pulling up here, John Smith, the Opel Kadett GTE, white car number 77, in a time of 68 seconds, .77. And very close to him, our fellow commentator, Brian Chute, car to the right of his, a Capri, number 6, 68.87.
Well, David, I have to sort of correct you slightly on that one. Actually, you're going from a lap record that's in the program, and in fact, it was Derek Shortall who broke the lap record in a recent race, and it hasn't been published in the program. He did 68.8, but the fact of the matter is that John Smith is still inside the lap record, and Brian Chute is right on it. So, and Derek Shortall, there's Eddie Regan, one of the men who started Mondello here, and it's very nice to see him out racing 15 years later. Little Legs Regan, as he's known, number 44. So, on pole position, John Smith on the inside, Brian Chute in the big 3-litre Capri in the middle of the field. But it's Eddie Regan who gets the best start. Eddie Regan, number 44 in the RS 2000, a superb start. Down into Shell for the first time. Regan leads Chute. Smith is third. Shortall is fourth. Tuttle in the outside there. And right at the very back, Number 2 there was the man that was in trouble with the warm-up laps, Paul Bishop. But look at this, Regan from Brian Chute.
A first-class start from Eddie. Little or no wheel spin, pulled over onto the inside side of the track and able to block off Brian Chute. So first place, car number 44, the Escort RS 2000 of Eddie Regan. Second, the BASF sponsored Capri, car number 6 by Brian Chute. And third place car number 77, John Smith in the Opel Kadett GTE.
And I've actually driven both of these cars in recent times, raced them around here at Mondello, so it's an interesting contrast between the two cars. The Escort is far more agile, but the Big Capri does have the straight line bar, and that's what Brian Chute will be trying to do when he comes out of Dunlop, get it out cleanly, line it up so it can have a blast down the inside, and hope to take over the lead down into Shell, but that's easier said than done. Eddie Regan then, Brian Chute, then look at Derek Shortall in 4th place, and then we have John Wood in 5th place in his RS 2000. End of the first lap, still Regan leading. Brian Chute hanging on there in 2nd place. Shortall desperate to get further up the grid. Shortall, the man that's had more production saloon car wins than anyone here at Mondello, and being very disappointed being so far down the grid. Then we saw a shot of John Wood followed by Reg Tuttle, but the battle really on for first place.
So, in fact, it's a very interesting situation because it's a complete reversal of the grid positions, which were John Smith first quickest, Brian Chute second, and Eddie Regan third. And as in the race, it's quite the opposite. Eddie Regan now is in first place, Brian Chute is in second, and John Smith is in third. So I think we've got some sparks are going to fly from these tin toppers.
And Eddie Regan sensationally at the moment pulling away in the 2-litre car. The 3-litre Capri behind him, and then John Smith in the rebuilt Opel. He had a huge accident earlier on in the year at one of the hill climbs, and the car has only recently come out of competition. 55 there is John Wood in his first season of racing, also had some good results this year. And Derek Shortall amazingly being dropped by the first 3. How unusual.
Now John Smith is looking very menacing in 3rd place. He's taking a steady course, and I think what he's probably going to play is wait for half of the race and see if Brian Chute is going to push Eddie into making a mistake and have something of a similar happening that happened in Formula 4. The 2 leaders take themselves out. But John Smith, a very aggressive driver, a very hard driver, a very confident driver.
Wood in the low freeze car, then big shadowed by Tuttle, but we're back with the leaders, and it's very close indeed. John Smith, who's got experience in all types of racing, including many years in Formula Atlantic, has concentrated in production saloons in the last number of years. They're in 3rd place, number 77, and Regan, another man with years and years of experience behind him, also raced single-seaters, has raced particularly sports cars, but thoroughly enjoys himself now at the tin tops. But Brian Chute second, and once again we can't but be surprised at the fact that Shortall isn't in the picture at the moment. Nice little battle here. Phil Sparks in the Alfa Romeo, sponsored by Wyndham, the sponsor of the whole race, far back also. He's been doing very well in that car in the north of Ireland and at Phoenix Park, where he won.
Yes, these first 3 cars, and Brian Chute making a move on the inside, but no, he's been blocked by Eddie. Eddie keeping his eye in the mirror to make sure he leaves not a square inch or 1 foot of tarmac at him available for Brian Chute to make the move. And all the while, John Smith is hanging on in there. They're making a small little gap now to Derek Shortall, but they're literally a blanket can cover these 3 cars. Now John Smith making the move down the inside, pushing Brian Chute.
And there was contact there, definitely contact there, and it's unsettled Brian. Chute has dropped back a little bit, giving Regan an advantage, and Shortall a chance to close up on both of them. But this is just the break that Eddie Regan needed. He was under enormous pressure from these 2 up till then. Chute now getting settled again after that incident and rising back. A very powerful, physical car to drive. There's Shortall just going through picture in 4th place. And a superb race, very close stuff indeed.
And we've just been informed by the timekeepers that car number 44 has had a jump start, so he's got a 30-second penalty, and that's our leader. Our leader, Eddie Regan, is now down the field. So in fact, our actual leader is Brian Chute, the red car, the BASF-sponsored Capri number 6. Brian Chute is now in the lead, even though you see him in 2nd place on the road. So that brings John Smith up into 2nd place, and I'm sure the drivers have been informed of this by their pits. So now, effectively, Eddie Regan is really out of the race.
Oh, what a shame. And Eddie Regan, number 44 then, who's going so well and withstanding all this pressure on the road, really effectively back. Oh, he must be back in about 10th place at the moment if you add on that 30-second penalty. So, And it's Smith making a bid for the lead. Remember that these are the two cars who are fighting for the lead of the Wyndham Production Saloon race, but Chute holds on the inside. Regan lifting the wheel, but Chute and Smith are the ones that really matter now. Chute and Smith in second and third place on the road, but effectively battling for the lead.
And what a disappointment for Eddie, having made a terrific start. It didn't really look like that much of a jump start, but he gets his 30 seconds penalty, so that's ended his race. But he'll be more than determined just to show how well he can